pleased to associate with the Assam-based publishing house Kaziranga Books to showcase their recent title Across Borders by Shuvashree Ghosh this evening. Significantly, the book is an important addition to the literatures from India's northeast and Bangladesh and has a special relevance to our region and its readers. And it's always a pleasure to welcome Mr. Satyabrata Sakya to our bookstore. Where is he? So I will first introduce Brigadier P.K. Panga, Warfare School in Mizoram. The Warfare School is one of the premier counter-insurgency training institutions in the world. We will be privileged to soon view Brigadier Ponvar's presentation, a vivid and photographic review of the 71 war, of the thrust along axis Kamalpur, Jamalpur, Maimansingh. Shuvashree Ghosh, born in 1971 in Calcutta, has worked in managerial capacities with several companies, including TAD. She has also been an avid blogger, writing stories and poems, and took a break from her professional career to write this debut novel. Congratulations, Shuvashree, and more power to your elbow and to your pen. In telling the story of a girl caught between a highly patriarchal society and political conflict in Across Borders, the author offers a gripping depiction of the circumstances surrounding Bangladesh's war of liberation and a young girl's memories of the trauma surrounding the communal riots leading up to it. The book has received critical acclaim from several quarters, and I have no hesitation in also recommending it to our audience this evening. I shall introduce the other two special guests when they arrive. Okay, Varun, grand entrance. I'm delighted to welcome my friend Varun Chanda, whose presence and support to Oxford events over the years has been much appreciated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Calcutta is my second home. Anybody calls me to Calcutta, I take the next flight and I come here, from whichever part of the country I'm in. I've been coming here for the last 43 years. The first time I came, I flew in a Dakota aircraft with a prisoner of war from Dhaka. I was his guard. He was Colonel Intelligence of East Pakistan Army. I escorted him, brought him to Fort William, and handed him over to the army. Then I was told by Eastern Command headquarters that, young man, you have to escort him to Delhi. I said, when? He said, we'll work out the reservations. They booked a coupe for me. I had one more guard with me, Havaldar, with weapons. For next 2 days, the officer told me, I said, what do I do now in Calcutta? This is the first time I've come. I don't know any streets. I know nothing here. He said, just walk down Park Street and you'll find your way. I entered Trinkas. There was a crooner singing. I entered this, I entered that, and I said, well, ladies and gentlemen, I decided then I've got to be posted here in Calcutta. And I came and lived in Fort William for 2.5 years. In the years 88, 89, 90. Used to go horse riding in the race course. I played polo here. I've done election duties here after the war. I know all the nooks and corners, the back streets of Calcutta and Barrackpore and the entire Hooghly industrial belt. So when Across the Borders came to my mind, and I was requested by the author and by so many others that please come and speak about what happened in Bangladesh. I was lucky enough to be born in a period where we were just 20, 22 years old. Young officers, one star on our shoulders. I started my career in Nagaland. First posting, 6 September, reporting date, 1970, 43 years back. From there, we came to the Meghalaya border. And we were told war is imminent. This was in September 1971. On the Meghalaya border, we were all in civilian clothes. We as young officers were told to grow our hair. We used to wear jeans and t-shirt. What better thing for a man of 20 to 22, being in the army, to be told to grow his hair, be in civil clothes, we give you a gun, go across the border and create confusion as part of Bukti Bahini operations. It was like a hunt. It is so interesting to go across, blow up bridges, sink steamers. I have sunk a steamer in the Bhadrabad Ghat with the use of limpet mines. Limpet mine is a magnetic thing. You put it next to an iron, 6 feet, it tracks. Then after about half an hour, when the fuse gets activated with the water washing off the soap, it's a soap fuse. And then that's the time given to you to swim away from the ship so that you don't get in trouble. So that's how my young days here started. And now I will go through a photographic review and a story. I was not leading, but in the sense, I was there right whenever the bullets were there, because it's always we young officers are told to go there. Like Captain Batra was told to capture Tiger Hill. And what did he say after capture? He said, Dil mange more. Many more hills to be captured. That was the story which went round, and he got a posthumous Paramveer Chakra. I said, this is an example of bravery. This is an example of guts and courage. And ladies and gentlemen, guts and courage does not come from reading textbooks, especially in the Oxford Book Depot, but it comes from experience. You got to be there on the ground, only then you have that Bahadur-like qualities. So when we started in September, October, November, we started dominating the international boundary. And this is the boundary. So-called, at that time, there was nothing, there were just boundary pillars. Now, of course, we got a fencing. We could just walk across. The first time I went across the border with the Bukti Bahini, he said, Babu, come in, We picked up a little bit of Bengali. I said, Kyolu? So he said, Ekhane Punjabi. I said, Punjabi is the term used for East Pakistanis. So then after a while he says, border Ashi. So he says, border is coming. I said, all right. So then he said, Chalo, let's go ahead. I said, hey, where's the border? He said, we already crossed it. It was just, you could just walk across into Bangladesh. There was nothing. It was just a boundary pillar. One side India, one side is Pakistan. That's it. So as part of domination of the international border before the war, the high echelons had planned that the war can only start in the winters, because whole Bangladesh is a riverine terrain, and as such, our tanks will not be able to function. It's only when the water sort of recedes, then we can go from various directions. Otherwise, the entire Bangladesh, the communication network, the roads have a relative height as compared to the rest of the places, because the rest of the places get inundated with 4 to 6 feet or 8 feet of water. So we cannot go cross country. Perforce we'll have to go along the roads in case it had to happen during monsoon or just after the monsoons. So that's why December was the month selected. And 1st December, while we were in a place called Tura and Meghalaya border, Garavada, we learned that have a haircut, get your olive green ready, start packing. I said, what's happened? We are going across the border, officially. And he said, what is going to happen? He said, on 3rd, Pakistan forces are going to strike at various air bases in the western sector. This information had come to us. And we are going to launch operation on 3rd night. And that's how it went. 3rd evening, we were having our dinner just before crossing from there. And we heard the news at 9 o'clock. This has happened. Amritsar has been bombarded. Srinagar has been bombarded. This has happened. War has begun. And while we were crossing, we were carrying small transistors. In those days, we had small transistors waiting. Manya Pradhan Mantri ki bhashan kuch hi der mein hone wala. She was here in Calcutta that time. And she flew back to Delhi. At midnight, while we were well inside East Pakistan, Madam Prime Minister spoke and she said, Hamare mulk par hamla hua hai, iska eat ka jawab patthar se denge. And she declared war. And we said, we will liberate all the Mayas and the Ranjits who've been facing problems All their families have been facing problems. All those people who've been treated as second-rate citizens just across Bengal. We have West Bengal. That is East Bengal. It is Bengal. Amaravan. So let me go through briefly as to how the thing happened. Yeah. Now here we are. Now you see Bangladesh, it is partitioned with rivers. There were no bridges during that time. And here is another partition, this one. And here is another, Sylhet. And this side is Chittagong. And right here, the Pakistani forces, about 3.5 divisions worth, about 70,000-80,000, had created fortresses around towns. In this sector was Jamalpur, Memon Singh along the Brahmaputra river. Jamalpur, Memon Singh. Then here we had the Rangpur and hilly sectors. Here was Jessore, Khulna, and here was Comilla and Sylhet. So all these forces were, all these bases were created as fortresses, like huge killas, where troops could defend. And that's how Jalal Niazi and his men decided to defend Bangladesh. And ahead of these fortresses, we had smaller fortresses along the border as BOPs, border outposts, and here, like in Bakshiganj and Sherpur, were the smaller fortresses. So when an attack comes, they will fall back to these bigger theatre fortresses and then defend it till last man, last round. That was the plan. The Indian Army's plan was to bypass many of the fortresses and head straight to the center of gravity, that was Dhaka. Next one. So forces were about 9 divisions worth. There are 3 divisions. 3 divisions, about 60,000 troops, were responsible for the Rangpur sector. 3 divisions here, from Krishnanagar, they went into Jessore and Khulna sector. Then here 2 divisions towards Comilla and surging towards Dhaka. And here 1 division in Sylhet sector. We were the least strength and least threatened thrust amongst all these as far as the West Pakistanis are concerned, East Pakistanis are concerned, that we were just 4,000 troops. 101 communication zone, 1 brigade, that's my brigade, 95 brigade, and another FJ sector, 1 battalion. Brigadier San Singh was the commander. He had 3 Mukti Bahini battalions. So he had just about 4 to 5, 6 battalions. Each battalion is about 700 people, 600 people. But what was advantages was that we were along the rivers. We went along the flow of the rivers. All we had to cross was this Brahmaputra, which was only name was huge, but the width of the Brahmaputra there is just about 300 feet. And we crossed it in fishing boats. We bypassed fortresses and crossed. Whereas they got held up here. At the rivers. And this, of course, they used an airborne air operation and got some troops across the river and into Dhaka. And we are carrying PT-76 tanks which could float on these rivers and go across. So first, I was here in this sector. I will tell you the story of this. This is briefly, I've told you the entire thing. So on the day of the ceasefire, 16 December, these people were here. These people were here. These people were here in some forces towards Dhaka. These people were here. And we were right in Dhaka Intercontinental having tutti frutti ice cream. Because we were the people who reached first. We were there. When we set foot on Dhaka, the whole nation celebrated. Pehla kadam, ek Indian Army officer or officers set on a new piece of territory that, as per the constitution, becomes ownership of territory for that period of time. Only then you say it is victorious. Only then you can hoist the victory flag when you set foot on it. Otherwise, still fighting is still going on. Right. So next one. Yeah. Ultimately, they were housed here. They were to fight here, and there was a brigade headquarters of the Pakistanis. 93 Brigade headquarters with Brigadier Qadir as the brigade commander with 1 battalion here, 1 battalion here. Madhavpur, there is Pongi Bridge, Turag River, Tangel, Savar and Dhaka. This was the axis that we went on. Kamalpur, Bakshiganj, Jabalpur, Memon Singh, Madhavpur, Mowgli. While we were, next one, let's start. That's how we went in. On the 1st, 3rd, 4th December, Kamalpur garrison surrendered. He was surrounded by all directions and the company commander surrendered out of sheer fear in the interest of it. Then we went in across country. keep, click. And these arrows, this is how the thrust line went. Buxican surrendered on 6 December without a fight. They had a small action, roadblock action, and then Major Ayub, coincidentally, by name of General Ayub Khan, he got killed in a firefight. As such, the company surrendered. They were told to come down, not surrender, they were told to fall back to Jabalpur. This thing went on, and then we had a paradrop here at Pongi Bridge. While all this is happening, and this force tried to get towards Dhaka,